now tuned into the greatest.
Good morning, good afternoon, whenever it's meant to reach you. Listening to the last episode of the 6 Feet Under podcast. Yes, I did say the last episode of the 6 Feet Under podcast. I am your 5'9" host with sophisticated ignorance, Uncle Poop J. Hey, what's good? Yes, you heard me correctly. I said it at the beginning of this episode. Actually, at the end of last episode, that we had, one more episode left. This is the episode. Before I go too far and jump into everything on this last episode, we got 58 minutes to talk, reminisce, and vid. But let me stop and introduce you all to the most important lady in my life. My lady, my wife. Baby, step up to the mic. Tell them who you is.
What's going on, y'all? It is your aunt, Amanda B.
Yep, that's me.
That's me. Man. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm good, baby. How are you doing? I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to be here, too. How am I doing? Well, given the fact the people we just bumped into before we walked in here, I'm feeling a little good.
Pretty humble.
Yeah, but I'm feeling a little emotional. I'm not gonna lie. Last episode in the books. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot of things right now. I'm not gonna lie. Mm-hmm. But thank you for being here with me today. This podcast episode and title was inspired by the latest Knives Out movie.
It was a good movie.
It was a good movie, man. If you guys haven't seen the latest Knives Out movie, I'm not getting paid to say this, but if you've seen it, you get the name of the title. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it.
It was a good twist.
Good twist. And speaking of twist and people who do a good twist and turn and make you look like you deserve what you deserve, shout outs to Petty Cash, man. Petty Cash Studios, Petty Cash. Hey, man, I told you guys this multiple times on this podcast. Petty Cash, for the most part, has changed my life in the most positive way that I can't even put into words. So, Mark and Alex, man, thank you. Thank you for allowing this country-ass boy from Memphis to come here weekly and do his thing. I can't tell you how much that's meant to me. I'm already starting to choke up. Let me stop. But yeah, we recorded Petty Cash Studio, guys, as always. And for the last time, I'm gonna tell you, this is a podcast, and I need y'all to like, subscribe, and share. I want you to know that the podcast is not ending because you did not like, subscribe, and share. So if you a hating ass bitch and you like, understand the podcast is not ending because of that.
Right.
But we'll get into that later on. But yes, if you could like, subscribe, share, we appreciate that. We appreciate that because we need all that funky shit, man. So yeah. Damascus Road to Damascus, whatever I decide to name this episode. I think that it's been a fun road. My road to Damascus definitely has been one that has been testing, one that has been infectious on my life, infectious on other people's lives, and I'm thankful for that. Most people don't know that your uncle's a very spiritual person, a very spiritual man. I try to keep that out of my public life, I guess, because I don't really like how people blend religion into day-to-day life and try to force it on folks. But
right. Ooh.
Yeah, if you know me, you know me. If you don't know me, you don't know me. Thank you. Pass that joint.
It was deep, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to interrupt the monologue.
No, you all good. I just know for myself personally, it comes down to kind of reviewing my life and where I am in life. And so I told myself maybe like 2 months ago, after driving home, after recording, I said, I think I'm done. I think I'm done. And I remember it came to me kind of like I don't want to say like came to me in a dream, but it came to me like on a vision. And the vision it was like, it's always better to leave on a high note. And it's always better to leave when you know you're ready. And I was like, okay, I know I'm ready. So yeah, that's where we came down to this podcast. We 5 minutes in now. I'm gonna spend the next 55 minutes thanking everybody who helped your boy get here, reflecting on some few things, and closing this bitch out. First and foremost, I gotta start with just reflecting on the podcast, man. It's funny because a lot of people don't even know how this podcast got its name. 6 Feet Under Podcast began back in December of 2019. Oddly enough, I met a very, very cool woman that same month, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, man, I started the podcast in my mother's basement in December 2019 because I needed something to help me feel alive. And like I said on the last podcast episode, I hate when people make fun of podcasting in certain ways because I'm sensitive about podcasting. Yeah. But I get it. I understand why people like tell men to go to therapy instead of starting podcasts. But I just want y'all to know I started a podcast before your favorite rapper did. So I think
absolutely
I'm good.
Absolutely.
Nah,
somebody's PR manager.
Yeah, somebody's PR manager. But the pod got his name because I am your 5'9" host with sophisticated ignorance. For any of you who caught on to that, 5'9" is under 6 feet. So there you have it, the 6 Feet Under podcast. I think it's funny because a lot of people now, I know when they hear me say 6 feet under, they think one or two things. One, they think I stole it from The Undertaker. First and foremost, no, The Undertaker took my podcast name. Secondly, they think I'm on some morbid death shit. And I'm like, well, yes and no. Allow me to retort. 6 Feet Under podcast was a podcast that originated out of my mind because I was dealing with a lot of self-hate in 2019. I had, at that point in my life, I was 27 years old and I was not in shape. I had a receding hairline and I did not love myself. And I told myself, I gotta do something that makes me love myself. And oddly enough, what made me love myself is talking. I had no idea. I did, but I didn't. It's kind of crazy to think about, but I didn't.
You did, but you didn't because you just had it was just an idea in your mind.
Absolutely. And fear, 4-letter word, kept holding me back. So when I hopped on podcasts and I told you guys, it was one of those moments where when I potted, it was like the only time I didn't think about my lack of success. When I potted, it was the only time that I felt like I meant something. When I potted, it was the only time I felt like I was enough and my voice mattered. And with every person that listened to the pod and reshared the pod, I knew, okay, maybe I got something here. And unfortunately, due to circumstances that I felt like I couldn't control at the time before I had the pod, I did not feel whole enough or I didn't feel well enough to even speak my mind. The pod changed all of that. A lot of people don't know this, but unfortunately, I tried to commit suicide 3 times, unalive myself, whatever you want to call it. I tried it 3 times. And I tell you what, man, every time that I failed to end my life, I was like so happy. I was so happy I didn't, And I wouldn't have made it this far if I didn't find somewhere to express myself. That's why I get so sensitive about people, making fun of men going to therapy, because some of us men, we don't know where to go. I still got 50 minutes left, bro. Stop crying. but some of us men don't know where to go. So I went to podcasting and I told myself that if we can continue to pod and show up every day, then we can continue to live and show up every day and everything will be okay. We'll figure it out. And for the most part, it was. There were moments where I still felt like I wasn't enough, but like, you know, the love and the joy that this podcast brought people definitely made me realize that I was worth staying in the game. You know what I'm saying? So I thank this podcast, and I thank all the people watching for keeping me here, honestly. That being said, I got a list of people that I need to thank before we get the fuck up out of here, because I know you all may think your uncle is just this young, fly, debonair young man, but I didn't do all this shit by myself. There was a lot of motherfuckers who helped me, who encouraged me, who just got me through. You know what I'm saying? Because this shit ain't easy, bro. Like podcasting, I know this shit look easy, bro, and it looked hella fun, and it looks, and it is all those things, but it's not easy. To conceptualize every day and to, you know, find guests and to, you know, keep things going and keep the motivation. Because guys, I don't get 1,000 views. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't get 10,000 views. I don't get 100 million views. And I know people that probably look at my content and they he only get 55 views, or he only get 100 views.
That's 55 people. You seen a room
exactly
full of 55 people?
Do you hear me?
I think we was just in a room with 55 people.
I was just in a room with 55 people. And I was like, damn, there's a lot of motherfuckers in here. Shout out to you, Mark. No, I get 55 views. I get 80 views. And to me, I love it. I love it. Because I remember when I didn't get no views.
That's right.
I remember when I wasn't starting. I remember when I was making excuses for every fucking thing in every fucking body and not doing anything for myself. So if you laughing at my low view count, keep on laughing, bro. Keep laughing. Don't worry. I'm not going to stop. But you can keep laughing. You know,
well, I think what you're also trying to say is like this: the end of the 6 Feet Under podcast is not the end of what Uncle Poochie has to say.
Absolutely not, bro. I'm leaving this podcast, but I'm not leaving this world. You know what I'm saying? I'm not leaving media. I'm going somewhere, but that'll be, you know, that's in God's plan where I end up going. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I never intended to stop our podcast because we aren't blowing up.
Right.
I didn't choose to end this podcast because, you know, we ain't getting the brand deals. No, man, I'm not doing this for clout.
Nobody's, I mean, you're not going to blink in 6 months and get where you want.
No.
To get what you want to get.
No. That's how you end up in your mama's house, back at your mama's house. And graduating from Sac State 5 years after you should already graduated. All shade to you. I know you don't watch, so it don't matter. No. I knew this was a long journey. And it's just this part of the journey is over with.
Correct.
So on some Oscar award winning shit, your uncle has to thank some people real quickly. First and foremost, I want to thank my coworkers at the staffing agency I used to work at. Thank you guys. Thank you, Krish. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you to my boy Brandon. Thank you to Robbie. And also thank you to the person who helped fire me, my punk ass manager, Thomas. Thank you. You are a bitch ass individual, but I appreciate you. You are a slime ball, but I appreciate you. You are a spineless individual, but hey, I appreciate you. You showed me how to do business. You showed me how to maneuver, and you showed me how not to fuck with people. And I appreciate you. And hey, you know, if you hadn't given me them drugs, if you hadn't tried to put me on drugs, had you not tried to drug me, I wouldn't have been here. So thank you.
You want to realize you don't like drugs.
Yeah, exactly. It had I not had that bitch ass manager who, you know, fired me because they claimed I had a drug problem, although they were offering me the drugs, I would have never realized that those drugs aren't for me. So, hey, thank you. You know who you are. You are still a bitch. But I do appreciate you for being a bitch ass individual because your bitch assness motivated me. Yeah. Ryan, thank you too. My guy. We talked a lot of shit back in those days, that staffing agency, but hey, I got love for you, my boy. Who else we gotta thank? We got a lot of motherfuckers to thank in this bitch. Oh, shout out to my boy, Monteese. Monteese, man. Yeah. Auntie's laughing because she know, but Monteese, you was there. You was there from day one. Monteith is my man's. I'm not going to say what Monteith does for a living, but just know Monteith has a very important job.
Very important.
And he's a very important person. And Monteith was one of the first people who was like, hey, yo, Pooch, man, we going to be somewhere in 5 years. We going to be somewhere in 5 years. And to think that was in 2020 when he told me that. Mm-hmm. And to think that it is now 2026 damn near.
Yeah.
I can't believe it, Monteith. You spoke it into existence, bro. You told me I could do this. And I remember thinking, we was drunk a lot, when you was talking and we was talking, but you spoke life into me, bro. And there was a lot of times where I wanted to quit. And I was like, damn, I appreciate those kind words. So shout outs to you. Next person on the list is a good buddy, good friend of the podcast, George, aka the Jester. AKA. Yeah, Mr. AKAs. George is a man, George Simpson Jr. George Orenthal Simpson Jr.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. That's not his real name.
People gonna be like,
they're gonna be like George Orenthal Simpson Jr. Nah, but shout out to my man George Simpson, bro. Like, I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. Like, you don't really know what you know until you know it, but you also don't know who's gonna impact your life until it happens. And so me and George met almost 10 years ago on Instagram. And George was the very first person to put me on his media team. And he was like, Pooch, you got it. And I started off being a fan of George's, and me and George's had roller coasters. But that's what happens when you got two like-minded, great individuals. So regardless of whatever happens in life, George, you my nigga. And I appreciate you for, doing all you could for me when you could. Shout outs to C. Dot and the White Man. Shout outs to the whole Meme of It All podcast. Y'all know who y'all are. I appreciate you, Mike. I do. SMG, what can I say about y'all? I wouldn't have the job I have today if I was not on SMG.
Correct.
I give SMG that. Thank you, SMG. Shit. Rez, Meezy, Producer E. Man, God damn. Let me tell y'all something. Rez, Meezy, and Producer E had a podcast called Textually Active Podcast. It was on Tuesdays. They podded on it, right? And at the time when I found a podcast, I was working at Big Five Sporting Goods. I, at that point, had failed at my football career. I had failed at my
being a lawyer.
Being a lawyer, thank you, baby. I failed at everything at that point. Hence, I was working at Big Five Sporting Goods. The Texture at the podcast helped me get through so many shifts because I couldn't believe that these friends were coming together. This husband and this wife. And there were other people on the podcast. Shout outs to Simeon, shout outs to Nick. I know y'all like, man, that dude know us. I do. I remember y'all. But it was cool. It was so fucking cool, man. And to see, that podcast ended a while ago, but to see Meezy now be a parent, shout outs to the Johnsons, shout outs to your lovely wife, shout outs to, my little nephew, Austin Keith. Shout outs to you, man. Rez and E, they're doing big things. They're doing things. And I just was so inspired by these folks that I was like, man, I wish I could be like y'all. To the point where I DM'd them. And they was like, you are like us. You got a podcast. And I was like, nah, I'm not popping. They were like, nigga, we ain't popping. I'm just kidding. I don't know if y'all said that, but if it wasn't from the Meme of It All podcast, if it wasn't for the Texture After podcast, there would have never been a 6 Feet Under podcast. I owe y'all that. And I'm thankful for y'all. A lot of the stuff y'all heard me say on this podcast, the good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Thank you, C. Dot. A lot of the things you saw me do, a lot of mannerisms. Hey, thank you, Meezy. Thank you, Rez. The quality of my podcast. Thank you, Producer E, for, indirectly showing me step your game up, Pooch. But yeah, I got to thank y'all, man, because they showed me that there was not and there is not always a need for competition.
Correct.
Okay.
Woo!
Woo! Saying a lot, huh?
I mean, go back and watch our episode.
Do you hear me? But no, they did, because they could have easily blew me off.
Yes. Correct.
They could have easily blew me off. They could have easily said, get out of my face. They could have easily been like, oh, your shit sucks. Because I knew my shit was okay. But like,
you was doing everything by yourself.
Yeah.
So.
And I never forget the feeling the first time somebody reshared my podcast. It was Measy Boulevard. And he shared it on Twitter. And he, just said, check out the 6 Feet Under podcast. And that was the very first reshare I ever got. And I was so thankful. I went out. I was so thankful I went outside in the parking lot and cried.
I mean, you didn't believe people was listening.
No, I didn't believe people listening.
I was like, I like your podcast.
I did. I'll get to you in a second, though.
I mean, I'm not. I was just like, messing. You didn't think people were listening.
No, I didn't think anybody was listening. To this day, I still can't believe people listen. I need to get over that. Yeah. Thank y'all for not creating this thick ass line of competition and inspiring me to know that I could do better, man. Who's else? Oh, got to get to my family. I got a big ass family. For those who know that, my family's fucking humongous. So I'm bound to leave some people out, but I got to thank my cousins. I got to thank all my cousins. My cousins, I grew up very tightly knit with my cousins. My cousins were more like my siblings in some ways. My older cousins were like my older brothers. And right. I was really the youngest, one of the youngest. So, I always was kind of getting sunned all the time. But my cousins, shout outs to you, shout outs to Twin, shout outs to Brittany, shout outs to Corey, shout outs to y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. Y'all always kept me on my toes as a kid and definitely, kept me going. And, I appreciate that. Shout outs to my cousins, Jessica, Jay, my cousin Gerald, G Money, and my cousin Gerard, love you, dog. And my cousin Nunu. Can't forget you, Nunu.
Last but not least,
Nunu. My cousins, man. I have this weird relationship with my cousins. It's not weird. I shouldn't say that because I sound crazy. But I have this want for all my people to do better. And for the most part, most of my people are doing better and being better. Some of my people are on their way to improving, and I'm thankful for that. If I could, I would make all them niggas' lives so easy. I would get them niggas every dollar I could if I could fix a problem, but I can't. And because I can't do that, I work really hard to maybe be one day to do that. And maybe that's not a good thing. I have no idea, but I am working really hard to make people's lives that I care about easy. My siblings, I know I don't talk about them often, but I do have siblings. I have one brother and I have one sister. My brother Cameron, my sister Cassidy. I'm extremely older than them. I'm 7 years older than my brother, and I'm 10 years older than my sister. So at times, I think I kind of felt like their third parent. I'm sure they probably felt like I was their third parent. And for that, I do apologize. But, I do thank my brother and sister for always keeping me, active and always keeping me aware. When you grow up with and around younger people, you are never not reminded that you are an old nigga. And sometimes that's annoying, but then sometimes that's good because it helps you avoid some goofy shit. So I appreciate my siblings for helping me remain goofyless and, helping me, remember that I got shit to work on while also reminding me that maybe I'm not as bad as I think I am. Still think I'm pretty bad though. My aunts and uncles, I have a slew of those, but I grew up with a tight community of mainly aunts, a few uncles. I used to call myself the aunt lover, if you guys remember that. For you guys who remember that, then I found the aunt, and then I became the aunt and uncle. But nah, man, my auntie Celestine, rest in peace, Celestine. My heart. My aunt Celestine was the very first person to ever donate to my podcast financially. She gave me a $4.99 donation back when I was on Anchor. Thank you. People remember that? Remember Anchor? My aunt, unfortunately, she passed away 3 years ago, I think. I lost count. Yeah, but I think it was 3 years ago. She passed away from cancer. And that really fucks me up because it wasn't supposed to be that way. But life goes on, right? My aunt Dalesta and Yolanda, my dad's sisters, I don't even know where I start with y'all, man. Thank you too for dealing with your crazy ass nephew's personality. My aunt Yolanda and my aunt Dalesta. One thing I can always give them is they never come on, bro, pull through. My aunt Dalesta and my aunt Yolanda never dim my light. Like, they ain't never tell me to calm down. They probably told me to calm down when I was acting up, but they never told me to they never told me I was doing too much. If anything, they was always encouraging. You know what I'm saying? Even if they didn't know what the fuck I was doing, they was like, do that little thing you doing, nephew. I'm like, thank you. Auntie, you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but thank you. But yeah, man, I don't know. I thank y'all. Thank you. My aunt Pam, I can't put into words what you mean to me. You definitely have inspired me in ways that you probably don't know. As an older sibling, it is hard. As an older sibling, it is difficult. And watching you power through things I've seen you power through silently and publicly, your inspiration, Auntie. Thank you. You truly are Black girl magic. And, you know, thank you for inspiring, you know, the family. My uncles, my Uncle Ronnie, aka the original Uncle Poochie. Thank you for all the game, big dog. Thank you for putting me on. Thank you for bringing me in. Thank you for at times where, you know, I needed the guidance. Thank you for giving me the guidance. Thank you for giving me the game. Thank you for not yelling at me. Even though you probably should at times, you were very patient with me, even when you know, probably could have been more frustrated with me. You were definitely, you were definitely everything I wished I could be, and you still are. Uncle Greg. Thank you, Uncle Greg. Shout outs to my cousin, Lil Greg, too. I think of him as an older brother, but my Uncle Greg and my cousin, Lil Greg, who basically feels like an uncle to me because he's my older brother. Thank you both for being stand-up individuals. Thank you for being a model citizen. Thank you for being what I aspire to be every day, which is successful. And I know everybody has their different levels of success, but my Uncle Greg and my cousin, Lil Greg, have always been men that I could look to and be like, I want to be like them. My Uncle Greg and my cousin Lil Greg, always the coolest cats to me. My Uncle Greg, if you know my Uncle Greg, he's a suave dude. If you know my cousin Lil Greg, he's just as suave, got away with words, and he will inspire you to run through a brick building. He's good like that. But I thank y'all because, like, the conversations we had and have had in the past, you know, my Uncle Greg, he told me, Uncle Greg, I can't remember where we were. I think we were at somebody's repast. And my Uncle Greg said, I see what you're doing on the internet. And I said, yeah. And he said, yeah, keep going. And that was a couple years ago, so I don't know if you still feel the same, Uncle Greg, but thank you, man. Thank you so very much. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. To my guardian angels, my people who ain't no longer here no more. Like I mentioned, my aunt Celestine, thank you. I can feel your presence at all times. I know you still are with me and near me at all times. To my grandfather Johnson, my grandpa Johnson, you know, Grandpa James, thank you for being the man that my father needed you to be. And thank you for being the man that I needed you to be when you could be there. To my grandfather McDonald, Grandpa Charlie Mack, thank you for giving me my whole persona. If you see me, you like me, you would have loved my grandfather, my granddad, Charlie Mack. He was one-on-one. I would say that. Everything that I do, as far as the hats I wear to some of the slang I use, I learned from that Mississippi boy. And I actually, his death occurred the same year that I started the podcast, and his death was, you know, one of the inspirations. I hate to say it, but it was because he always kind of told me, like, you know, he knew I was going to do big things. He knew I was going to do something special. And he never told me what it was, but he said I would do something. And we lost him in 2019. And as that saying goes, nothing's been the same since. But I digress, right? To my parents, Phyllis and Keith, Senior, thank you. I know life has us in different places now, but if I never had you in my life, or if I'd never had you as parents, I would have never known what love was and what love is. If I didn't have the father that I had, I would never know how to properly love my wife. And if I didn't have the mother that I have, I would have never known what a good woman actually looks like. So with that being said, I don't care where we are in life. I will always love you all. And I am proud of you. And I hope you guys are proud of me. So thank you for that. And last but not least, thank you to this girl that I met on a random night. It could have been a random day. I don't know. Let her tell it. It was in 2019. I don't remember, but hey, I was drunk. No, I'm just kidding. In 2019, I was on a down spiral. I had just gotten out of a bad relationship. I did not like who I was. I didn't like where I was going in life, and I didn't like what was happening in my life. The last thing I needed to do was get on dating apps. But shout out to that coworker I mentioned earlier, Patrick. He said, Pooch, get on dating apps. And I said, no. And he said, yes. And I said, okay. And so I got on a dating app. BLK to be exact. I know some of you, which one was it? BLK. BLK. I got on that app and it was a wash. I wouldn't be able to tell you what I liked about it. All I can tell you is that one day I was sitting down and I was on the app and I messaged this girl and I'm pretty sure I said, what's up? Smiley face. Because that's your uncle. That's all I'm going to say. And this girl wrote back a sentence. And if I can recall, I think me and this girl like spoke throughout the night and then I went to sleep. And after that, I thought nothing of it. And little did I know that this girl would eventually end up being my wife. So I would like to thank someone who was on my podcast before it was visual. I would like to thank someone who listened to my podcast before I even knew people listened. I would like to thank a woman who helped me lose my phone on our first date.
Help you lose your phone or find your phone?
Yeah, she helped me lose my phone, guys, because she was so damn fine. I lost it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I have to thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, my lovely lady, my baby, my wife. Thank you for, believing in me, for supporting me, for holding me down, as the people love to say. A story I don't think I fully ever told in total on this podcast, but I'll share now since the last episode, was that for the first year that I lived in LA, the Aunt Amanda B, my wife, my lady, paid all my bills.
They're going to be like, run, ladies.
Yeah, I know. They're going to be like, no. And I'm going to tell you, yes. I know most people think that that's a red flag. And I would say in most cases, they are. But guess what? They not me. Okay? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, and you got a job. Then you got me a job.
Exactly. I worked my ass off in that year that I did not have a job. Connecting, networking, going to every free event, going to everything that I could. Just because I knew I didn't want this to continue like this. And in that year of her paying the bills, we were just dating. We were not engaged or anything like that. I don't even know if he was even on the table at the time. But I told her, I said, I'm going to get a job and then we're going to get married. It's that simple. I think maybe like 4 months later, I got a phone call that turned into my first opportunity, that turned into another opportunity. And before I knew it, almost a year to the date that I asked her to pay all my bills, I had now gotten a job. I had now gotten on my feet. And I knew it was time for me to finish off what I said I was going to do. The first thing I bought with my first paycheck when I got a full-time job was an engagement ring. The second best decision I ever made in my life. First best decision I ever made was marrying this lady. So I say all that to say, guys, get on some date naps. You never know. And if you can't find love on date naps, you're the problem.
There is somebody for everybody.
If you can't find somebody on date naps, you're the problem. I'm just playing. Keep passing me a lighter.
Where's the lighter?
I have no idea. Oh, thank you. Nah, I can't believe sometimes that this podcast grew as fast as it did. Mm-hmm. You know, Auntie will tell you guys she was there. She remembers your uncle having two mics on one computer and yelling at that shit like we was in the studio in 1995. I mean, I used to pull up on niggas.
You had one mic.
Oh, I had one mic. You're right.
Because it's very specific that you only had one microphone.
Yes. So let me dive into something real quickly because we're gonna dive into that. Last episode, if you watched last episode, I asked Auntie to explain the situation with the ex-best friend who was a bitch-ass nigga. If you think I came off a little harsh in that situation when I asked Auntie to tell it, well, first and foremost, you don't know me, so shut the fuck up. Secondly, I am harsh because the person tried to diss my lady, and I want people to know that's a bitch-ass nigga. But to Auntie's point,
excuses.
This bitch-ass nigga, who was really a woman, I'm just, calling people out the names, really told Auntie that we couldn't make it happen without two mics. And I remember when you told me that, I said, but we've been recording with one mic.
Correct.
And you said, yeah, she making excuses. And I remember when we had that conversation, I said, I'm not going to let that be me. Yeah. I had made enough excuses in my life. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not going to let that be me. And I'm not going to let you blame me and think that it's me.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to do that.
Absolutely not.
I clearly made it. I made it very clear that I'm recording on one microphone to make it make sense.
Yeah. No. That was the day that I learned that like the make it or break it is all depend on your mindset.
But but that's also when you open your mind and be like, I'm gonna have to leave you where you're at because I come from make it happen. Like I have to make it happen by myself. Like I'm not it's just me and only me. But a motherfucker not gonna be like, oh no, I can't go. I was never a no, I can't take the job. I will take the bus, I will take the light rail, I will walk from the light rail to get to my job. I wasn't gonna be like, no, I can't work because I don't have a job or I don't have a car.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna figure it out. That's I am so inspired by my lady that I allow myself not to make excuses. Because in just talking to you and knowing you and knowing your backstory and knowing how you were raised, knowing what you had to go through, I know that I am making excuses when I say I can't do something.
I won't even speak to you. If you say we can't make no macaroni and cheese because you don't have no motherfucking milk, I won't talk to you. Because, bitch, where's your butter? You ain't got no butter?
You can't figure it out.
You don't have no butter?
I'll tell you a fun story.
Sick of y'all.
Because I accidentally left this person out and thanking them. My grandmother Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Grandma, love you. But you remind me of a story she once pushed me through or put me on. One time, I was in my grandma Johnson's house and she said, hey, nickname.
Right.
I'm not going to say my nickname.
Right.
But my grandma Johnson said, hey, grandson, it's time for you to go in a couple of hours. Your mom is going to come pick you up. Do you have some items or do you have clean clothes to put on so when your mama come pick you up, she don't think you just run around here in dirty clothes. You know how grandmas are. Grandma ain't gonna let you. Your grandma, a good grandma ain't gonna let you go hungry. She ain't gonna let you be cold, and she ain't gonna let your house being stanky because she ain't gonna let you talk about her. Okay. And so my grandmother asked me, "Hey, do you have some clothes to put on?" And I said, "Nah, grandma, I ain't got no clothes." And she said, "You ain't got no other clothes to put on." I said, "Nah, grandma, I don't have any clothes." She said, "Well, okay, we need to wash your clothes. Your mama gonna be here in an hour or so." I said, "Grandma, these clothes gonna wash in an hour?" She said, "Yeah, they will." And she proceeded to take my clothes over to the sink and turn on some hot water.
Right.
And she put some washing powder in the hot water and she hand washed my clothes. And I remember saying to my grandma, I said, "Grandma, why are you doing this?" She said, "Because in life, sometimes you got to go with the plan B. You can't just be going with the excuses. You got to go with the plan B. You can't just stop because, okay, so you ain't got no clean clothes. What I'm going to do? Just be like, okay, well, he ain't got no clean clothes, so I sent him home dirty." No, you got to know your plan B. You got to know what you got to do as the alternative. You got to have an alternative plan. That's what she said to me. And I think about that when I think about the excuses of your bitch ass ex best friend. When I think about the excuses of my former bitch ass ex best friend, who ain't even worth mentioning on this goddamn podcast, I think about how my grandmother told me, no excuses are necessary.
You got to go with the plan B. My plan B was to save the money and go make the money of the difference of what was being assisted, because I never take any assistance for granted, and I will never not tell my side of being assisted. But my excuse, you weren't going to get no excuse of why I didn't save money in a year. The goal was to, for a year, get it how you live, because you're going to have to figure it the fuck out. There was no, I did not sleep. I didn't come to fucking Southern California to, like, I did eventually, but how the fuck I'm gonna sustain and I ain't got no money? I have no stability. I have no community. I have nothing. I did not come here to be like, yeah, I moved here. The fuck?
No, you're right. That's why a lot of people get fucked up here in LA, because they come here to have fun.
I watched a video because I got fired from my job in 2018. We talked about that, for me being Malcolm X and this motherfucker standing up for people. And I binge watched a whole bunch of YouTube shorts and short films and YouTube series. And then I watched an interview from those two women, and they talked about their experience of moving to LA. One moved to LA and started running off the payment the first year. She did nothing. She didn't socialize. She was networking, but she wasn't like, hey, let's go to the party so I can Snapchat. The other girl was like, she didn't start making motion until she said she was on like year 5, 6. And she said that's because she was going to the party, just looking cute, trying to take pictures with celebrities and not networking with celebrities. And I think of that interview all the time. It's almost, 10 years? It's about to be 2026.
We just bumped into one of my childhood. I won't even say his name.
You won't even say his name, but so humble.
Yeah,
you know?
we just bumped into one of
we all working.
Yeah, we just bumped into one of our childhood legend inspirations. I don't like to use the word idols, but childhood legend inspirations. And I literally was talking to bro on this couch. Yeah. And I asked him, like, yo, can I take a picture with you? He was like, yeah, come on. I mean, years and years that this man, and if y'all follow me on IG, you know, because by this time I'd already posted a picture and bragged about it. But years and years that this man has been putting in work, he could have just been like an asshole.
But he see that we all working in the same place. Why would you be rude? Why would you stick your nose up at me when you got the money to work here and I got the money to work here? It don't give a fuck if it ain't even the same price. Motherfuckers is paying money.
So speaking of working, I never told this podcast story on air, on physical air. So I'm going to feel real good sharing it now. But you brought up working and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a great segue. I once got fired over this podcast. I once got let go from my day job over this very podcast. And when I think about how it all went down, I'm so thankful I got fired. I got fired due to the fact that 2 coworkers that I assisted in starting their podcast got let go for various reasons. I won't get into it, and I really don't know the real reasons of why they got let go. But they got let go. And in a form of retaliation, they swore they weren't like trying to retaliate against me. But in a form of retaliation against the company, they went on their podcast and they were like, well, we got let go, but a man didn't get let go. Oh my gosh. We don't want him to get let go, but why did we get let go? And then 2 weeks later, I got let go. And I want you ladies to know something. I don't know where y'all at. I don't know what y'all got going on. I don't wish nothing bad on y'all, but I thank y'all for doing that to me. I thank y'all for, assisting in getting me fired, because just like that bitch ass manager I mentioned earlier, had you not did that stupid shit, had you not gotten let go, had you not gotten me fired, I would probably still be in Sacramento.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I very much thank the person I'm not friends with anymore, because I wouldn't know that I'm that motherfucker. I wouldn't have continued to believe. I wouldn't have pushed myself and conditioned myself to listen to the gut feelings I was feeling when I was already uneasy. So I do actually think that as well. And that's what I talked about on the last podcast, is when I did not do my normal, I'll tear it up in here because I'm bigger and I'm better than that. And I'm in the best space. I didn't even see myself making it to no 33. I drank alcohol every day. I drank at my desk. People don't think it's not a fucking joke.
Talk to the people about that a little bit.
Because I drank at my desk. Every fucking morning, I would go to the vending machine, I would get a Pepsi, and I would put my Hennessy in my cup. I would go to my lunch. I would smoke. I would put some Hennessy in my cup. I was damn near auntie at the barbecue. Okay. I'm in the kitchen drinking while everybody prepping the food. And it's cute when you're in your 20s. It's not cute, but for the time you think you're cute because you're young. I am the very age of people who was partying with me when I was 21 years old. I would not be caught motherfucking dead partying with, and I'm not judging you. You can say you can judge them, but I'm not judging people because I could have literally started in that cycle. I took my first drink at 12. I was already shit-faced by 14, taking shots. So, and the people that I was doing that with are some of them, and I'm not saying all of them, you're watching this, if the shoe fit, put it on. But some of them are still doing that, and there's a whole generation of people in their 20s, and they are doing exactly what I was doing in my 20s. So I see what the fuck my life could have been. So label me however you want to label me, but don't knock somebody when they explain they are suffering from alcoholism. I realized that I was an alcoholic when I was supposed to be at work at 4 a.m, and I woke up and it was 8:30, and I had 52 missed calls, and the police called me because they thought I was dead. But then I turn around and I'm start telling people, I think I have a problem. Oh, no, I have a problem. We have a little bit. I have a problem because it's so normalized. But those people who have something to say about me because I'm literally not the person that I was when I was hanging out with you because I was a piece of shit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just like I talked about a couple of podcasts ago when I was just a nice girl and I let the girl used to punk me for my lunch money and I punched her in the face. There's a level of where you need to learn. But as an adult, I can't say, well, my grandma didn't let me talk. And when I was a child, I was a mute and I was bullied. I'm not going to carry that. I'm just going to remember that I been knew I was that motherfucker. But those people knew I was that motherfucker too. That's why they was mean to me. That's why you were blocking me. That's why you was over there trying to tell and make rumors and lies about me. So I really, really thank those people. Because you're talking about me from a city that I left, and I will not be back unless it's about to be about work.
About this money.
I've ran into people doing our job, being a brand ambassador, and they done looked me in my face and been like, dang, I should probably do that too. You should. You should.
You should do something. Nah, definitely. I want to touch on something real quickly that you mentioned about excuses. I am so glad this podcast made me face my excuses. I was once a keyboard warrior, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to admit this to you, but your uncle was once a bitch ass individual. I didn't type back. I wasn't a troller. I didn't go on and do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I was the type of person to see someone's post, see someone's success, see someone's progress, and be like,
Right.
Whole time, I'm not doing shit to go for what I want.
Right.
I'll tell you a little inside joke that I tell Auntie that we share inside our house all the time. I hug Auntie sometimes, kiss on the forehead, grab the booty, and I say, I'm so thankful I married my type. She laughs. I say to her again, no, you don't understand. I'm thankful.
I do understand.
I married my type. Because in my world, I live by this code that I try to do everything thorough. I'm not going to tell you that I never lie. I'm not going to tell you that I ain't never cheated. I've done both of those things. But I try to be as thorough as possible. And I figured that if you do the things that you need to do, God will bless you or life will bless you with the things that you deserve. I wanted a woman that looked like Auntie. I got her. I decided I wasn't going to do shit to lose her. But making up excuses because you ain't getting what you want in life or settling for things that aren't what you want or aren't your type are always going to leave you feeling void and empty. It is on you to, one, create what you like or to understand what you like. And then it is on you to be due diligent and to be patient and to be consistent enough to be like, I'm holding out until I get what I want.
You have to just be okay with being labeled as certain things like
difficult.
I was just going to say difficult because you really also have to look at the caliber of person who's calling you that.
Absolutely.
I mean, honestly, it's also 2025. Like there's so much things have changed, even in the media. Like you can't even try to tell me what a certain expectation is anymore because the trends change every 3 days. Like there was a time where there was just a typecast. You know what I mean? It's 2025. You can't even do that. Abercrombie and Fitch done. You know what I'm saying? Outed.
Outed.
Documentaries on you, okay?
Nah, it is one of those things where, like I said, you said, typecast and excuses. I never wanted to be one of those people that continue to make up excuses for myself. I said earlier I was a keyboard warrior. I said earlier I was envious of people's success.
Mm-hmm.
I shared on this podcast a little while ago about my football career, and some people, shout outs to Jay Cush, walked up to me at our charity event last week, and he said, I had no idea that you were that good at football. And it hit me like a ton of bricks that I was so shameful that I didn't make it to the NFL,
right,
that I didn't want to talk to people about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was so shameful that I didn't make it to the NFL that I wanted to make up every excuse about it. It wasn't until I sat with myself and I acknowledged my flaws, and I acknowledged my shortcomings, and I acknowledged my inabilities,
Mm-hmm.
that I came to the term that, one, Keith, you were never going to make it to the NFL.
right,
And two, Keith, this was never in your fucking plans.
Mm-hmm.
This was never in your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Do you hear me? So get over it. Stop making excuses. Stop being bitter. Stop being upset. But I'm here to tell you guys that didn't just happen overnight. Similar to Auntie, I've shared this multiple times. I too was an alcoholic. I too drank for 7 days straight. I'm sorry, 7 days. 7 years straight. It's really 10, but we're going to just say 7 to make me feel better about myself. But for 7 years, I drank alcohol every single day. There was not one moment at the time that I was sober. And in those 7 years, I was full of excuses.
Mm-hmm.
I was full of this. I was full of that. And one thing I knew I wasn't full of: success. Happiness.
Because of me. But mad.
Exactly.
Very mad.
Very mad. And who I got to blame?
What you mad at?
Yeah, who you mad at? It's your fault.
I'm talking
It's your fault.
man.
No. Shut up, Auntie. I mean, yeah, the moment I did start looking at the man in the mirror, I was like, yo, fam, you really got to be for real. You really got to be dead ass. You really got to, you really got to realize that it's time to restart.
Right.
If I could leave you guys with any advice of any type on this last episode, do not be afraid to restart.
Okay.
Do not be afraid to start over again. Do not be afraid to give it a try. I started my podcast in my mother's basement. I was 27 years old. I think I had 500 followers on Instagram, if that, and no connections or ties to anyone in the entertainment industry. On the last day of my podcast, I'm walking in the studio and sitting next to people that I was watching on television when I was a kid.
He's an all-star.
He's an all-star. Shout outs to you, bro. Shout outs to Prim. What I'm trying to say to y'all is that if I would have let my age,
Mm-hmm.
if I'd have let my inexperience, if I'd have let my lack of confidence stop me, I would have never started. There is no perfect time.
No.
There is no such thing as that. I know that sounds super cliche what I'm about to say, but the best time is right now. Shout outs to Shy. Tiffany and Shy, thank you for being on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. I remember once we got off the episode and we stopped, I remember I said, we got to get each other's Instagram. And Shy looked at me and he said, we got to do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no time like the present. Let's get it done with. And initially I was like, okay, old head. No, I'm just kidding. Shout out to you, Shy. You're a super cool individual. If you guys don't know Celebrity Moho Shy, he's a nice guy. Go check him out. Follow Celebrity Moho TV Shy. But when he said that, I felt his energy in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
I felt him being like, nah, motherfucker, we do this now.
Right.
Because that's what successful people do.
We're going to meet right now.
We're going to do it right now. So that being said, bro, I can't stress it. Yo, restart if you got to. Restart again. Then if that shit don't work, restart again.
Mm-hmm.
The secret to this shit is consistency.
And pivot, like,
thank you. Go
we
ahead,
talk
Auntie.
about pivot all the time. Like,
Go ahead,
because we recorded an episode years ago when we was recording audio, and we were telling people, like, if you can't make it in rapping, nobody's saying that you're not good at rapping. Maybe you can turn around and produce. Maybe you write songs good. You know how many people who've written songs that you didn't even know they could write before they even sang? They were writers for 10 years before they even dropped their own stuff. Like, you don't know. But if you wouldn't have came back and did petty cash, and you would have just kept trying to edit it your own, your momentum was lacking because you were continuously not changing. You didn't pivot.
As your uncle's literally doing his day job while still on his podcast.
My phone is,
Come on now.
I'm going to
Always
have messages.
Going.
There's no excuses.
None. You want this money? You want this success? Well, hey, you better learn how to.
It's also called balance. I didn't even mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
It is balance because people be like, where nobody's telling you to work hard, because I did that to myself and almost died. Mm-hmm. So then I had to stop and find the balance because I'm just getting older. But that doesn't mean that I have time to stop, right? But there's no excuse to not give yourself an hour. Because who gonna spend the money when you're dead? Goodness.
What good is the money?
The casket?
What good is the money if you're not gonna be here? No, I think that was my problem too. I once collapsed in 2020 once COVID started in April or whatever. From April to August, I worked 7 days in a row.
Yeah.
I did that for 4 months in a row. Once I got to the 4th month, I collapsed behind the wheel. I got into a car accident and I hit a tree. And when I opened my eyes, I was in the passenger side. It was at that moment I realized, 1, I was very thankful to be alive, but 2, I needed to slow it down. People were telling me, hey, Pooch, you're burning a candle at each end. Hey, Pooch, you need to slow it down. I didn't listen. And I didn't listen because to the point that you were making, like, I thought I had it. I thought that what I was doing was quality. All I was doing was really just bringing myself to a very, 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 very soon end. A very, very, very tragic death is what I was moving myself to. And that's why I'm thankful for what this podcast has brought me. Because what I didn't tell y'all is right after I got to that car accident, I drove to this lady's house and I podcasted. She said, you probably should go to the hospital. I said, nah, pod is life.
No, not cute.
It was not cute. I should have went to the hospital.
Not cute.
Auntie.
Yes.
Before we get out of here, you got a couple of things coming up. Tell the people about your event and stuff so we can, let the people know where they can find us.
I do. So first and foremost, make sure you're following the aunt Amanda B _ on top of the Night Shift Gals, because we are doing our final and last event, holiday season, Deck the Ornaments. It is our last paint and puff. Link is in bio, but come through, support small businesses, support small vendors. That is the whole purpose of us gathering community. So again, like I said, I'm going to put emphasis on the last one of the year. Follow so you can know what's coming for 2026.
You heard my lady. By the time that this episode's come out, that event will have been 2 weeks ago, but y'all should have already been following her to begin with. We got about 3 minutes left in the show. I can't believe I got 3 minutes left in the show after 6 years. But let me go ahead and close this bad boy out with 2 minutes now. I want to again thank every single person that has ever helped me, that has ever tweeted at me, that has ever reshared, anybody who's ever liked, anybody who's ever subscribed. I want to thank you. I would have never been able to do this podcast without the support of all of you. I would have never been able to even feel confident to come back if it wasn't for you. I know to this day, even if I died tomorrow, I'm a happier man because of you who are watching this, helped me further my dream by just watching my podcast. I don't give a damn if that number right here that says views, I don't care if that shit says 20 views. I don't give a damn. That's 20 people that said, let me go see what Pooch and Auntie Amanda talking about. Some people I didn't thank earlier, my guys from Sprint, Brandon, Devin, my boy KG, and Devin's wife, Cindy. Y'all the homies, man. Thank y'all for holding it down. When we met, when I first started this podcast, I was just a kid, bruh. I was just a young man who wanted and needed to be heard. I was an individual who felt like he had something to say, but did not know how to say it. When we first met, I was a young man who was trying to find his way, and I'm still finding it. But I think I figured out who and what I want to be. And best of all, I figured out to always remember who the fuck I am. And so I encourage you with the last few words and last time before we head up out of here, please remember who you are. Until, well, never. We out. Peace. Thank you.